still be mourning the loss of her birds in the upcoming season, you
I think it's just going to be a lot of bird questions.
Listen, I'm open to all of the bird questions, and the answer is Squeedledee was my favorite. We don't know anything. My instinct is that it's not done for her, and I would hope that it wouldn't be done for her. That the thing that's the most important thing to her in the world is gone, and now she's just over it. That would seem odd. So I think that there's definitely going to be. I mean, I would assume some sort of reference to her losing all of her children in one fell swoop. Don't pardon that pun.
What do you think it is about Dina that makes her such a fan favorite, despite her being such a hard ass?
You know, it's so interesting because I feel like, it surprised me in the beginning that people were so into her, because I was like, she could be portrayed as a villain. Like, people could view her as a villain. But I think there's that nugget of realness to her, and we get to see the real emotions from her that people really love. And then I think it's just like the balls out, no nonsense. She doesn't take any crap from anybody. She's super confident. And people, especially women on social media, have like really responded to Dina being their spirit animal, Dina being somebody who like inspires them and stuff like that, which has been like such a fun thing. It's so cool to like get to play a character that not only is beloved, but that people like really look to as a source of like inspiration for confidence. I mean, I do personally. There's times in my life where I'm like, I should be more like Dina about this. I should really stop the negative self-talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no time for it.
Is she your spirit animal?
I think she is on some level. Yeah, absolutely. Where people think that people assume that we're alike, and I'm like, we're alike in some ways, but man, I don't know that many people that have that level of confidence, but I admire it.
Obviously, she kicks a lot of ass, and she's going to be, I'm assuming she's going to play a major role in the union going forward. What are you hoping to see for her next season with the formation of the union?
I mean, I'm excited. It's always fun to get to see her in anything with Amy. I think that people really respond to the Dina-Amy stuff, and so it's always kind of fun to get to see the Rizzoli and Isles of it all. I think it's going to be interesting going into this season because obviously Amy is kind of wavering on what her position is, and I'm curious to see what they do with Dina, because I'm curious to see, does she waver? I don't know the answer to that. I think it could be an interesting kind of dichotomy. Again, since we did see her in that season 4 finale, making comments about like, well, if you go to the movie, if you sneak into the movies, you're going to get kicked out. Yeah. But then she still helped Mateo at the end of the episode, which is something I don't know if she would have done in season 1. But I think that she has grown over the course of the seasons, and certainly her loyalty to those people has grown. And so I think it's really interesting to get to see, like, does she align where you think she would align, or does she align somewhere a little bit differently? I think those are kind of some interesting choices that they've been playing with, which is exciting.
Which way do you hope she goes?
I just never want her to seem like a sociopath. That's been my thing from the very beginning, is that I'm like, she has to have some real emotions, and she has to have some real colors, so that she doesn't, because it'd be very easy to play this character, because it's so funny, it'd be very easy to play this character as like, she's just this all the time, she's like a metronome. So I like to do anything that's not necessarily what you see coming. I think that's always a more interesting choice. I'd also like to see, we've never gotten to see her really be vulnerable. Like, who are the people in her life that make her lower status? Do you know what I mean? Like, who are the people that rock her foundation? That's something that I also hope to get to play with.
It did, like, in terms of vulnerability, her and helping out Glenn with all of that. So what was that like, playing that part of it, and how do you think that affected Dina's character?
I really loved that, actually. When they first brought up the surrogacy storyline, I was like, really? Like, are people going to buy this? Does this make sense? Because her and Glenn hate each other so much. Or rather, she hates him so much. But then it started to make so much sense to me that she has this like sense of responsibility for everybody in that store. That she's like, don't let anybody else do this. I'll do it properly. You're so lost. Let me fix this for you. But then also what we got to see also was that moment. I loved getting to play that moment where they tell her she's going to have the C-section, and she gets really scared, and she grabs for his arm and is like, please don't leave me. And that to me really speaks to, she doesn't actually hate him. She's wildly irritated by him all the time. But much like you would be by a sibling or by a family member. And I think for her, that's really the kind of, this is her life. Like, that store is her life. She doesn't want to be the manager because she doesn't want more responsibility. She just wants to live in this family that she's lived in for the past 15 years or however long. So that was a really fun thing to get to play. And I loved getting to play that scene with the baby at the end. And I improvised a bunch of stuff, which they used, which was super fun. If you ever meet a man with a houseboat, run the other way. That was one of my... I'm just going to tell you my favorite jokes that I came up with. What a narcissist. But I thought that was a great moment too, because it was like we got to see her have this moment, but she wasn't super like she didn't want to hold the baby. It's like I don't want to touch it, but I want to have a moment with it, and that to me was just very true of Dina. And also in the episode where they have the daycare, I thought we handled it really well there too, where she's like, it's like she's not maternal. We're not, betraying who she is as a character, but she's also like, I'm not gonna let you put this baby in a cart.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not gonna let you do that. So I think it's always fun to like, where are those lines for her?
Yeah.
And the rivalry with Denise at the other store, right?
Well, Denise is her sister.
Okay.
It's Colleen at the other store.
Colleen,
Yeah, Belridge,
right.
yes. But yes, good call.
Will we get more of that, do you think?
I hope so. That's been one of my requests when I've gone in and talked to them. I was like, do we get to meet Colleen? Is it happening? Do we get to meet Denise?
Yeah.
I mean, my hope is yes. I would love it if, she's painted this woman to be such a monster, and then she's just like the nicest lady, and it's like, but it's all fake. Like I can just see it's all an act. I can see the whole thing.
What other requests have you put in?
Mark Hamill to play my father. I have been campaigning for this.
Yes.
He's a fan of the show. I've tweeted. He's tweeted back, and I'm just like, what do we need to do to make this happen? I just think it would be the
He's
funniest.
gonna be here. You should run into him.
Oh my god, yeah.
Just fill the
Also,
seat
like,
here.
not a good, like, I'm not great. I'm not great in those scenarios. Again, this is where, like, the non-Dina confidence comes in. I met Misha Collins 2 years ago and, like, sputtered and then just held up my phone for a selfie. Like, just so embarrassing. I was like, I'm a big fan. Like voice cracking, and then just was like, oh, and he was like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, what are you doing, Lauren? It was just, I don't do well. I don't do well in those scenarios at all.
Have you had those sorts of fan experiences?
I have, and if somebody's really struggling, I always tell them that story. I always tell them, don't worry, I did this with Misha Collins. I totally get it. It's okay. Don't freak out. Everything's fine.
Thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.